Sorry to bombard you with a number of names, but can you just give us an update on the absentees? Sort of Ida, Fanua, Matangi, and Tate. Are
Yeah,
any of those actual, real concerns to you at the moment?
yeah. Greg Eden, unfortunately, he's done a calf. He did it in the Hull KR game. Just thought it was a bit of a dead calf, but unfortunately, we've had it scanned and it's a little bit more severe than we thought. So he's probably going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a blow, but it is what it is. My hair's on compassionate leave. Some stuff that he needs to tie up at home. So he's on compassionate ground. So we're looking to get him back in the country on Monday. So we not selected. So that's a performance one, and Will Tate's a performance one. Needs to get some more reps in on the training field with obviously his teammates. Played in the reserves game against St Helens. Probably one at his best. So he needs to actually get some reps. And we will obviously we've brought him in with a view to him being a long-term plan for us. So if he gets some games this year, that's great. But he's more of a long-term project for us.
Gareth Widdop's back in the squad. Is he able to take to the field on Friday?
Yeah, Gaz is good to go. Got some weight back on. Hitting some good strength markers in the gym. Feeling a lot better in himself. So looking forward to seeing him play on Friday night against Leigh.
So what are the chances of Elliot Wallace making his debut on Friday?
Yeah, very good chance. Elliot's been playing well. Obviously at the Midlands. Had a little bit of a misdemeanor, which resulted in him being suspended for a few games. But he was probably, had worked his way into a position where he was probably the next man up after a Beretta and a Greg Eden on the wing. So, he's suffered a tough period due to the suspension. Them few games that Jace got early in the season, probably Elliot would have potentially have got those opportunities. Strong carry out of backfield is Elliot. He's quick. Can finish a try. So there's every chance that he'll be playing for us on the weekend.
It's obviously one of the nice parts of a coach's job, isn't it, to be able to tap a young man on the shoulder and say, "This is your week." It's the first time you've had the chance to do this, I think, potentially.
Yeah, it's really nice. Be a good opportunity for Elliot to showcase what he can do. He had a good pre-season, played well in the pre-season friendlies, and he's got some qualities that sort of like fit the modern day winger. He's 6'4", he's strong, aggressive, carries the ball out of backfield well. So I'm looking forward to obviously him getting an opportunity. And then the other end of the spectrum, obviously, we had a 300 game Super League appearance maker in Adam Milner. So, that was nice. Two ends of the spectrum today. One obviously making his first appearance for Castleford Tigers in Super League, and somebody obviously in ads, making 300.
Just on Elliot, you mentioned his aggression. He's a boxer, isn't he, as well? Do you have to tell him to keep his hands to himself?
Yeah, he used to be a boxer. That was to help with his temperament and, to challenge his inner aggression in the right way. And I think it's been really, really good for him in terms of that discipline and, that self-control. He does play on the edge. He's a firecracker, very, very aggressive player. But those qualities, if we can channel it in the right way, can be effective for us as a team. And, hopefully you'll see a good performance from Elliot on Friday.
I mentioned ads in a moment, but Jax O'Neill's obviously come back and he's dropped back in with the group this week. Just given the timeout of the game that he's had, when do you sort of feasibly expect him to be back in contention to play again?
Difficult really to answer that question. Obviously, he's got a little bit of work to do. He's been out of the rigours of full-time training and rugby league collision and training for a fair while now. So we have to build Jax in terms of a rugby league athlete back up. Obviously, he's got a lovely six-pack and a lovely tan and all that
nice teeth
stuff and a beautiful set of teeth and a really nice fade. But obviously, that's all for the Love Island show and the celebrity, opening of events. So what we need to do with Jax, and he's aware of that, is we just need to be patient with him and build his body back to being a rugby player and get that robustness back into him. What he has done is come in and, you know, brought some energy to the group. He's a bubbly personality, good character, and he doesn't hold back when he does train. So what we've got to do, we've just got to manage him the right way and build him up in the right way. And hopefully, you know, we'll see him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, can you see him playing this season at some point?
I'd like to hope so. Yeah, definitely. You know, that's a plan. Get him some, you know, games potentially with the reserves to start with, and then if he plays well in the reserves, you know, consideration for obviously playing in the Super League. But you know, that's the plan, and you know that's what Jax wants. That's what he's come back to do, and he'll work hard to actually try and achieve that objective.
Just on Ads Milner, then you said some nice things about him a few games ago when he made his 300th Super League appearance. He'll make his 300th Castleford Tigers appearance this week. How big a milestone is that? Do you feel in the game in this day and age?
Oh, huge milestone. You know, I think it makes him the Super League appearance holder for Castleford Tigers. So, you know, it's a fair old achievement from Ads. I spoke on his shirt presentation today, which obviously his family came in to present him with, which was a nice touch, about Ads epitomising what I want as a player. You know, a bit of a misstrap line in me interview was, you know, proud to be Cat, and I think Ads epitomises that. You know, he turns up and competes hard every game, punches above his weight, is tenacious, plays with desire, competes to win on a weekly basis, and you know, he served the club with great distinction. The fact that he's played for his country, the fact that he's played 300 Super League games, I think says a great deal about him. And you know, he's still going strong and managing to, you know, secure a starting spot in our team at the moment and keeping out some younger blokes who are snapping at his heels. And that's credit to Ads and, you know, the player that he is.
He's just revealed to us how close he came to leaving not that long ago. He says you've put a smile back on his, you personally have put a smile back on his face. Would he be one of the a player that you'd look to keep beyond this season? Because obviously he's one of those off contract. Can you say
it's performance is king, isn't it? You know, it's the May the 1st deadline, and everybody's getting letters, and agents can come and knock on the door and have a chat with them, and you know, maybe offer them deals for next year, and you know, further on and secure the futures and that type of stuff. But like I've said to the majority of the guys, performance takes care of business. If you're performing well, then it gives you a better chance of getting a contract at Castleford Tigers if that's what you want to do. If you don't perform well, there's every chance that, you know, that there won't be an offer from Castleford Tigers. If you perform poorly, you know, you're not giving yourself an opportunity to put yourself in the shop window. So what we've tried to do is just speak to those guys, be honest with them, and just say, look, it's all about performance. At the minute, the fact that we're fed from bottom and not winning many games, you know, doesn't bode well for obviously us as a team. So there's areas that each individual needs to fix to improve performances, and then if they improve their individual performances, the collective becomes better. You start winning some more games, and then you know, good things happen on the back of performing well. So you know, that's been, you know, communicated to the group, and you know, those individuals are aware of that. And Nads is an experienced player. You know, he's been around the block. He knows that he needs to take care of his performance, and if he takes care of his performance, you know, there's every chance that he could be staying here. If it doesn't, and we decide to go in a different direction, then you know, I'd still, you know, be in a good position if he's performing well, you know, to secure a future elsewhere. But you know, it's too early to say. And on the back of the way that we've started the season, I think all those guys are aware that they need to perform better, you know, to take care of, you know, the respective futures.
I'll ask you about Leigh in a second, but just one penultimate point. What's the rationale behind Dan Smith's loan to Fev?
Just not being forcing his way into my thought process, you know, with regards to his form. He's lacking a little bit of confidence. He's one of those players who's been a little bit in and out. We've got very good numbers in terms of the middle unit players. And there's some guys who in that middle unit have, you know, played well and deserve to stay in the team. You know, Sam Hall has been good for us since coming into the team, not done anything wrong, training exceptionally well, you know, so deserves to, you know, stay in that 17. And unfortunately for for Dan. He's a player that I don't like, but when he's had opportunities, he probably just hasn't quite put his best foot forward. And when you lose him as a coach, you're trying to come up with a recipe to get wins. So unfortunately, one or two of those players fall foul of the act, so to speak, which isn't nice. And having to have those tough conversations with those players is difficult. But like I say, it's all about performance, and there's certain aspects of Dan's performance that needing to be a little bit better in. But the other way that he's going to do that is by playing. So it's an opportunity to come up to play at a good standard at Featherstone and get some game time. And I think he needs that.
Just lastly from me, then obviously Leigh away or Leigh at home has been a tricky place for teams to go. Leeds showed that a couple of weeks ago. How challenging is a trip away to Leigh at the moment, do you feel?
Yeah, very, very challenging. Adrian and Chesney have done a really, really good job in terms of the recruitment. Derek's doing a great job in terms of promoting, Leigh and creating a real cauldron and a real atmosphere with his investments and his match day experience. So it's got a real big game feel to it. I'm looking forward to going over to Leigh on Friday night and trying to showcase the best of Castleford. It's going to be a challenge. Leigh are playing well. They played exceptionally well against Leeds. I had a look at that in depth. They've got some real strike, that left edge in Charnley and Latelli and O'Donnell and Lockie Lamb are in great form. So our right edge defence will need to be, on guard against, a strike edge for them at the moment. And the forward packs playing very, very well. Tom Amone, giving them some punch and go forward. And then Asiata's a very, very accomplished ball playing 13, which links, the edges to those middles. So it's going to be a real challenge. We're looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll see the best of us on Friday night.
Obviously, you were with England last week. Is that a job that you're carrying on in?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was with Castleford all day Monday. So we had a full day of training on Monday. I was with England on Tuesday and England on Wednesday. Castleford were in with obviously Scott Morrell and the conditioning team on Wednesday, and then Thursday was the England team's day off. I was at Cass, had a full day with England a full day with Castleford on Thursday, along with the conditioning group. So they've had plenty of work put into them last week, Castleford, and I was obviously heavily involved in two of those days, and the Wednesday was a fairly strenuous conditioning session and weight session with the conditioning staff. So yeah, I'm looking to continue my role with England. I feel as though it's a great cult for the club that I'm an England assistant coach, working with Sean Wayne, working at international level, building relationships with players at different clubs. And the work and the development that you get in terms of knowledge and experience, I think second to none. So it's something that I definitely want to continue.
And just in terms of your staff at Cass, are you going to add to it, or have you added to it already? Or are you happy with what you had during your interim?
No, we're on the lookout. Assistant coach is something that we're looking for. So we've been having some conversations, but I don't want to reveal too much on that sense. So yeah, we are looking to try and bring somebody in.
Are there some strong options out there for a number two?
Yeah, there's some options out there. The number two thing, we need to phrase that a little bit better.
Yeah, I was thinking that after it left my mouth, I was thinking that.
Yeah, don't flush it. Don't flush that harder. Yeah. No, in terms of looking out there, yeah, there's some options. A couple of guys who actually applied for the job have expressed an interest. So I've had some chats with those, and then looking within the game as well. We're having a look and trying to come up with something which is going to fit best for both parties, myself and obviously the club and that individual or whoever it may be.
Are you expecting quite a swift appointment on
that? I don't want to rush it. I think it's an important appointment. Happy with obviously what Scott Morrell's done so far. He's been a great help for me. The rest of the staff have also picked up a fair bit of slack, and I think the experience that we've got within our coaching staff at the moment is a very, very good one. Matty Crowther, was England physio and, probably one of the best in the game in terms of being a physio. And then we've got Adam Whitney and, Martin Clausen, who've got vast experience. Martin going back to, the glory days at Bradford and, the double winning teams at Bradford, and then a lot of experience from his time at Wakefield. And Adam Whitney obviously was heavily involved in, the Challenge Cup successes of 16 and 17 at Hull FC. So, he's got a lot of experience. And then obviously Scott's got vast experience from, all the time that he played at Hull Kingston Rovers, at Halifax and at Keighley. So, we've got some experience there. So I'm happy with what we've got, but we are looking to obviously make a couple of additions as well.
Yeah. Obviously it's your first taste of the recruitment window as a head coach. A couple of names bouncing around at the moment, Owen Trout and Ethan Ryan. Those two players that interest you?
Yeah, I think all players are on the market, and Ethan Ryan's obviously a decent player and, done a good job at Hull KR. And Trout, is a sought after young English middle, which are very, very hard to find at the moment. So, we're not rolling out anybody. We're looking, and it's all dependent on numbers and fit for your club and, what you want from a head coach's point of view. So, I'm not going to deny, that, and I'm not going to, confirm it either. Everyone who was on the market, we're having a look at and seeing how they can best fit.
Just a quick thing. It's a crucial game, isn't it, tomorrow night at Leigh? Because, you're not tailed off from the playoffs at the moment. You're 6 points behind the team in sixth place. And presumably your ambition is still to, make up the lost ground. But if you're going to do that, you probably do need to win on Friday night. You can't lose too many more games and think you've still got a chance of getting into the top six. So do you feel that sort of pressure? And obviously you're going to go into a bit of a bear pit really at Leigh at the moment, the way they're organising games with the pre-match stuff and hyping the crowd up and so on. So, you're going to face a fairly hostile environment, I would imagine. But have you got what it takes to overcome that?
I think we've taken confidence from the fact that, I'd say probably in the last month, our performances have improved. We're a lot more difficult to break down from a defensive point of view, which is, pleasing because, every team wants to defend best first, and then you get your defence in order. Then you can start, to talk about your attack. We've suffered from an offensive point of view in the fact that we've not been able to get our best span on the field. The fact that, Paul McShane, Joe Westerman, Jacob Miller, Gareth Wood up now levels, I think they've played one, possibly two games together out of 10, which is a real, difficult thing. Gaz has missed a few games, Milky's missed a couple, Macca's missed a couple, and West has missed a couple, Niall's missed a couple. So trying to get some continuity in that span will massively help, obviously, our attacking strength. And I'm hoping, we see a good performance from us from an attacking point of view against Leigh today, on Friday.
With your best spine in place, hopefully, because obviously they're all in the squad, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that's that will be good. Part of the problem when you've got a team that's not winning is confidence, isn't it? A team that loses confidence tends to drain away a little bit, and part of the coach's job, I suppose, is to bring it back and instill it. It's interesting to look at. I was just looking at a headline on Sam Allardyce taking over at Leeds United, and with 4 games to go, and Sam's come in and said, I'm the best coach there is. I'm as good as Klopp or Pep Guardiola or whoever it might be. I'm in their league, mate. And now, you players, you've got a great guy in charge of you. And I don't know what the effect on Leeds United players would be, but if I were a player, I'd sort of say, oh, great, that sounds promising at the very least, and hopefully it's going to work. I wonder, you're not the same sort of person as Sam Allardyce, are you? You're a much more probably, or at least you give the impression of a more analytical, thoughtful guy.
I won't compare myself to Craig Bellamy and Wayne Bennett.
No, but you are you're not a big mouth sort of a guy, like a bit like Sam is, and so I suppose you do things in a different way, don't you? I mean, but But do you think you can get the confidence into the team, especially now that it looks as though, some of the injured players are coming back and you're starting, hopefully without any injuries on Friday night to get some continuity?
Yeah, I think a big thing, Martin, is the level of performance. And I think we're all guilty of it at times. We've become result blinded. And you see the result and go, oh, Castleford had another day. But when you look at that performance against Hull KR, we probably left 24 points out there in that first half. Well, you get the scoreboard ticking over and you take a couple of those chances. There was a chance in the first 3 minutes of the game. Alex Miller challenges for a high kick under the post and Michael Lewis manages to make a good try saver. On another day, Alex gets that ball down. You're 6-0 up and then Miller scores. That makes it 12-0. And then there's probably 2 more opportunities during the course of that first half. Brett Freemore makes a break and he's got Alex Miller in support. Ryan Hall manages just to knock the ball out. He gets that pass away. Mel scores. It's 18-0. And then we had a Mahe for Noah opportunity early in that second half. There's 24 points there. And that's without, talking too much about the attack. So it's the frustration is we've been creating opportunities, but when you don't take them, then everyone starts to go, well, your attack's off and you're doing this. We've created a lot of opportunities. We haven't converted them, and that's the big...
It's a question of inches, isn't it, really? It's just a question of inches.
And you look at Hull KR, and that's where the 2 teams were at. Where we're at, we found a way to lose. Where they're at in terms of momentum and confidence, they found a way to win. They didn't create a great deal against us. We had 2 one-on-one misses on trial line on a chat we previewed all week in Matt Parcell. He scores running from dummy half. And, we had 2 blokes unfortunately miss a tackle on trial line. And then we have a one-on-one miss on the edge where Corey Hall, beats his opposite number and scores. That's the game. And I think, we all become a little bit results blinded that, Castleford's performances, they aren't attacking this, they aren't doing this, that and the other. And I think when you actually really, really dig deep and look into the performance, we've created a couple of opportunities. The week before against Salford, we was held up over the line twice. We get a couple of opportunities late in the game where, if we pass the ball rather than kicking it, there's a potential score again. So we're taking confidence from the fact that we're creating those chances. What we've got to do is start converting them. And I think if we start converting them, that scoreboard starts to tick over in our favour. It puts a little bit of scoreboard pressure on the opposition. And, once we start getting the scoreboard pressure in our favour, I think we'll kick on and we'll move forward. And I think the first choice span being on the field together will massively help us.
Must be a bit frustrating sometimes because if you lose by 60 or you lose by 1 point, you still get no points on the league table, and two very different performances, don't you? It's annoying because all coaches say performances are very important, but ultimately, if you don't win, you still get no points on the league table, and that must be the most frustrating thing about the game, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. That is the most frustrating thing. There's been one game where we have been quite clearly well and truly second best, and that was Warrington at home. But I'd anticipate that was Warrington's best performance of the season against us. They played exceptionally well. The other games, we've been right in them, but we just haven't been converted some of the chances that we've been creating, and that's frustrating. The players are aware that we need to start taking those chances that we're creating, and we've done a little bit of a mid-season review, so to speak. Once we've played Leigh, we'll have played every team in the competition, and we'll have a real good opportunity to assess where we're at. And in every game, we've been well and truly in the contest, which we take hope and confidence from. We know that we've got some quality in our team. One or two of those players probably haven't been quite hitting, the standards that they need to. And we're looking to actually try and get those individuals playing a little bit better, and as a team, converting chances that will create and hopefully get more wins than losses.
And can I just ask you a question relating to your role with England? Obviously, the Tonga tour has been confirmed now. You must be really quite excited at that, I would think, because I think everybody's pretty excited by that news.
Yeah, really excited. Great opportunity to come up against one of the leading nations in world rugby. I think it's great for obviously the England programme to get Tonga to come over, and play against us. There's a good rivalry there, with Sean being ex-Wigan head coach and obviously Christian being the ex-St Helens head coach. Some top quality players available for Tonga, Jason Tamalolo and people like that, coming to these shows and challenging obviously our English boys in a 3-match test series is, what you want to be part of. And I love the fact that the games are going to be played in the heartland. I know like there's been 1 or 2 people out there saying, we should be trying to expand it, but I think back to, those test matches when Great Britain played Australia. I think it was the Lion Bar test series or the thing.
Yeah.
And it was, the games were played at Wigan and there was played at Huddersfield. And, I think there was a couple of points separating all 3 test matches and those packed out.
2003, I think it was, wasn't it?
2003. And,
yeah.
I think, like to those games, it might have been Bolton as well, that the game, all 3 test matches were sellouts. And, there's a real appetite for obviously the game along that M62 corridor. And I like the fact that, it's in the heartlands and, we'll get it out and showcase the best of, what test match rugby is all about. And with a team like Tonga coming over to these shows, it'll be a real challenging test series. And it's one we're all looking forward to.
The only negative from your point of view, perhaps, is that there aren't any Castleford players who are obvious contenders for England at the moment, which obviously, in the past, there have been lots of Castleford players who have played for England. It would be really nice at some stage to think some of your guys were going to be in contention, wouldn't it? I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the aspirations that you want the players who are actually playing for Castleford to have. There's 1 or 2 guys in there who have had a taste of it. Joe Westerman's had a taste of it recently, and Paul McShane's had a taste of it recently, and Jack Broadbent's been an England knight, and George Lawler's been an England knight. Those type of guys, they need to be aspiring to trying to, become test match players, because if they've got that aspiration and desire to become a test match player, the only benefit is going to be for them, and the benefit of them aspiring to try and be a test match player will benefit Castleford Tigers in terms of their performance. So, hopefully, those guys get that form and get that bit between the teeth for Castleford, with a view to potentially, going on to bigger and better things from an international point of view.
And kind of finally, I know you're probably wanting to get away, Andy. Final question: Challenge Cup, Hull FC at home in a couple of weeks' time. You very nearly beat them right at the start of the season, didn't you? After being disastrous in the first half, you came back and nearly caught them. That's a really attractive game, and you must have your eyes on the Challenge Cup this year, I would think, because at this stage of the season, it looks a better bet for you to win a trophy than the league, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. The weekly challenge of Super League is one that you can get your teeth stuck into. You have to be at your best every week, to pick up the points now in this Super League competition. We need to make sure that we invest as much energy and effort as we can into our league form as we can. But there is a big game on the horizon in terms of a Challenge Cup match against Hull FC. They always seem to come up. Castleford, it seems to be every single.
Adam Milner said that a few minutes ago. Yeah,
it's Hull FC and Castleford all the time. It's an interim charge for Hull. We drew Castleford in the cup, and we played at St Helens on a glorious sunny afternoon, and Hull managed to get the win on that occasion. And then you go back to the early 80s, it was Hull and Castleford all the time, whether it been quarterfinals or Challenge Cup finals, semi-finals. And then, in our recent history, in 17, we played against Hull. It was in a quarter final at the KC. And on that occasion, obviously, Hull FC came top. So it seems to be like them paths always meet. And we're looking forward to actually, taking on Hull at home. There'll be a big crowd here. Hopefully, we'll get the weather, and this occasion, we managed to get a win rather than a loss.